Stick with that, and we're going to be talking to my first guest this morning, Jamie Mightie, about the sort of needs that students want. At the earlier start to the show, we had concern voiced about how many students leave here and there are no jobs. What is it that Tito Mboweni needs to say today?
So I think the first thing that everyone will be curious about is this 1% of the budget that will be allocated to the Youth Employment Initiative and youth programs to create employment. Because the president basically passed the ball on to Tito to say, listen, this is all going to be clarified. So I think most people who are listening to the State of the Nation address will first of all ask about that 1%. The second thing we need to be very cognizant of is that when you look at the Global Competitiveness Index, specifically the one that speaks to skills, which is the sixth pillar, it states that we, one, are ranking 119th in the quality of our vocational training, and we're ranking 102 in the quality of our graduates. So there's obviously a gap between the skills that graduates have and skills that the market needs. So some of these short courses the president was speaking about, we're going to have to hear how money will be allocated to them. But I think critically,
that's a good idea on paper, isn't it?
Yes, yep. On paper, excellent, but we need specifics to those courses. We need to hear from the market what those courses are. But going back to what I think is the critical employment driver, or should be, we are being told by the global community, you are in the bottom 40 in the rankings of your vocational institutions. They currently have an allocation based on last year's numbers of 12 billion from all of the allocations that were directed from the money that goes to education, which shows that that money is actually a very tiny amount when you consider that most of our graduates, or not graduates rather, most of the people who come out of high school are going to end up in the TVET system, the vocational training system. So if we are being told, number one, you are 119 out of 141, and number two, that you're spending insignificant amount compared to what you should be spending. Because even if you look at Germany as an economy, more people are in the vocational system than are in the university system. And currently we have a parity of 1-to-1. Of the 26 universities, you have 1 million registered students. In the TVET institutions, you have 1 million or slightly more than that registered students.
And the president has promised us that there are more to come.
Yes. Yeah. Well, the more to come, for me, that's not exigent to the needs of now. So if you're looking at employing people within the next 1 to 3 to 5 years, it's not going to be of value to me to hear how the money will be ring-fenced for a TVET down the road. What I'm going to be interested in as a young person is how do you get the TVETs that currently exist to improve the quality of skills that they produce, and two, to improve their global esteem, because jobs of a certain nature will not come to South Africa if they go to this global competitiveness report and see that, listen, this guy's 119 in the world. So if I bring my company here, I can't expect to have anybody in the market space with the requisite skills for what I need for a fourth industrial revolution economy. So I think that a lot of the attention should actually go to what are you going to do about the TVETs financially, and equally, where is this 1% of the budget going to actually go to? Because those two numbers are going to be critical to understanding the seriousness of the presidency in addressing youth unemployment, which we know is close to 50%.
And how do you address the financial situation when it comes to tertiary institutions like this, when we're looking at accommodation? Something like 64 billion has been earmarked for that,
yeah,
and historical debt.
So
how should that play out?
I think that we have to be honest when we have these discussions around what we need to do and compacts. We have underfunded tertiary education for a very long time, which is ironic considering that if people come out of the tertiary education system, they are more equipped to contribute to the economy at a higher level than people who are on the welfare side of things. You know, in Germany, they like to say that every graduate you create creates 3 more jobs. So they prioritize creating graduates, whether they are vocational graduates or they're university graduates. Our system has it backwards. We look at the education system at a tertiary level as a burden when it's actually an economy driver. 1, you get skilled workers. 2, you get taxpayers who actually contribute meaningfully to the economy. And 3, you get economic activity because you have innovation, you have entrepreneurship. So I think that at a level we need to consider looking at the corporate tax and looking at special education levies to make sure that we don't under-resource these spaces, because right now we all speak on the need for skilled people, the critical skills shortage in certain sectors like engineering, science and research. However, we simultaneously tell students you can't get a free lunch, you have to make a plan, you're on your own. We can't have it both ways. And I think we need to look at how do we actually jumpstart the problems in terms of solving them in the tertiary education system, because right now we are not doing enough, and then it leads to students to take extreme measures. We should not be in a situation as a developmental state where we under-resource education. If you look at most developmental states, which would have been at the age of 26, which is what we are right now, they prioritized making tertiary education accessible to as many people as possible. If you look at the unemployment data, 8% of people with some tertiary education are unemployed. 2% of people with a university education are unemployed. That reflects that having these tertiary skills does create value to the marketplace. Okay. So if we don't have enough funding,
I mean, I hope the finance minister is listening. It makes sense, and look to Germany as a good model there.